Okay, this weekend is the fourth round of this year's Six Nations. Ireland-France is the first game of the weekend at 2:15 in Dublin, followed by Scotland-Wales at 4:45 in Edinburgh. England-Italy is on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So Ireland-France, the Irish look vulnerable. While they're unbeaten at the moment, and if they do win this game, I actually think that's them winning the Grand Slam. They haven't looked like the Ireland of old. They have looked vulnerable. They've been a little bit clunky in attack and not at their best. But it's a sign of a good side that they can win while not playing at their best. And I think this is the post-Sexton era, and they haven't got Andy Farrell there as head coach. Easterby's as interim, while Andy Farrell's obviously off, going to be preparing for the Lions tour. And, well, if France is still full of confidence from their win over Italy and can carry that momentum over, this could be a very difficult long day for the Irish. Even though they're at home at the Aviva, I think if the French play the way they did against Italy, against Ireland, this could be a very difficult test match. The first 20 minutes should give us a good reading on which way the game's going to go, because I think the scrum, the maul and the line out are going to be targeted by the French, because the Irish had a few wobbles there in the last round, and they were giving away penalties and free kicks at scrum time. And with that French pack being very, very... It's a power game, basically. It's just pure brutality. That could be a weakness, I think, in this Irish side, is scrummaging and line out. The weakness in the French side that I noticed against Italy was their centre combination. They looked very vulnerable defensively there, out on that inside-outside centre defensive axis, and that's where the Italians got a lot of joy and got their 3 tries, was through that axis of vulnerability. And they wouldn't be happy with the 3 tries they conceded. So there are some weaknesses with this French side, and at the end they had 2 scrum halves on the field and no fly half, and they're playing Ramos, who's a fullback, at fly half to start. So they do have a few weaknesses in regards to their game, but Ramos was running the ball a lot, and field place kicking from field in open play. Yeah, I think that could be a weakness for the French. They're going to be running a lot from 9 and 10, and trying to bring the outside backs and back row forwards on crash balls a lot. They're going to use the power game. Ireland, I think, can exploit that potentially if they get their kick chase and their tactical kicking right. I think, yes, that could definitely be an area of exploitation. And so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting matchup. But I do think the first 20 minutes, whoever's gaining dominance in the forward battle, especially at scrum and line out, I think that can go a long way to deciding who wins this game. The Irish do need to up their game. The French just need to play how they played against Italy. Not only did they win the power game, but they were expansive as well, and tries were scattered around the team. So they've got threats out wide in the back line and a powerful pack. So Ireland, they need to really up their game, because they have been stuttering a little bit, and also disciplined because they had that 20-minute red card in the last game. Scotland-Wales. While the Welsh performance was improved in round 3, they didn't get the win. And they were shattered by the end of play. They were out on their feet after 6. They were in the game at 60 minutes, and then they just ran out of steam, and I think Scotland will have too much. I think Scotland, they like quick ball, they're expansive, their outside backs are lethal, and I just don't think the Welsh, while the confidence was better and the performance was better under Matt Sharrett's first test in charge, I do have my concerns about this Welsh side being able to just stick with the intensity that Scotland play at. If, however, the Welsh can compete at breakdown, compete at the scrum and the line out, disrupt Scotland, make it stop-start, just a lot of niggly play, basically. They want the game to be stop-start so the Scottish can't build a head of steam. If they can do that and slow the pace of the game down, then yes, they do have a chance. Every team can beat anyone in this competition, I think, this year. I think the Welsh do have a chance. If they're still in the game after about 60, 65 minutes, then it's going to be how Matt Sharrett uses and utilises his bench just to keep the defence fresh, because they were out on their feet by the end of the last game. They were flagging badly, and you could clearly see that they'd given everything in the first 60 minutes, tried their hearts out, but it just wasn't enough, and they were shattered. They were just not fit enough. That's a concern. It's a very young team, and it's a team that hasn't won a test match in over a year. 15 straight losses. That's the same amount of losses that Richie McCaw had his entire international career. So that is a stat, and there have been a lot of problems. Now, a lot of the issues do stem with the union and funding and player development, and Matt Sharrett's got to work with the players he's got available. I think Scotland will have too much. But anything can happen. Wales could spring a surprise if the Scots play at their best, then Wales are in trouble. But if Scotland do their Jekyll and Hyde, where they're good one game and bad the next, then they're very inconsistent. That's the problem with Scotland. They can build a good 2-3 wins and then they lose the next two, or they're good one week and bad the next. So it's going to be interesting to see how Scotland approach this game, knowing that this Welsh side is young, inexperienced, and that final 20 minutes they do fall away. So there's that fitness aspect. They want to keep the pace high. They want to, basically the first 20 minutes is going to be telling. If the Welsh, as I say, can stick in the game for the first 60, 65, then yeah, they have a chance. They've got to scrap. They've got to make it scrappy and disruptive. And a good way to do that is at scrum, line out, and offset plays. Just try and disrupt. England, Italy at 3:00 on Sunday. England are favourites. They've never lost to Italy. Italy have their moments. They're willing to throw the ball around. They've got some very quick, talented outside backs. They're going to be more running than kicking. Very similar to Scotland as well. They want to keep the ball in play. They want to play at a fast pace. However, at the breakdown against France, the French won the breakdown. And there was a lot of turnovers there, though, but the French were quicker at breakdown. If the Italians can throw the ball around, they can cause problems. I think this will be a lot closer than form guide would suggest historically head-to-head. I think the Italians are going to give a good account of themselves. They're going to be hurting after that humbling by the French at home, and they've got a decent recent record against the French, so that they're going to be really hurting with that bad defensive performance. And as I say, the Italians do like to throw the ball around. England kick too much. They kick far too much, which with the Italian back three is you're asking for trouble tactically. I think England have got, the better overall quality, but if they employ the tactics, they did against Scotland, where they were just kicking constantly. It was just one or two carries, one or two rucks, kick, one or two phases, kick, and it was constant. And that was they were getting booed, and rightly so. You've got young, hungry outside backs who want ball in hand. You've got some pretty talented back row forwards and a mobile forward pack. Use them. Get them playing crash balls. Get them building phases of pressure. The Italians will love it if the English kick all day from hand. They'll just run it back. They will run it back and they'll up the intensity. The Italians want to run it. The English want to kick it all the time. England need to find a better balance in attack. They really do. Mitchell just cannot kick every other carry, because that will be a difficult game for England if they do that. Because the Italian back three, are they the best team in the world? No. Are they one of the most improved teams in the Six Nations? Yes. And the way the Italians play is they want to run it. And if you're going to kick and kick aimlessly, which the English did in round 3, they're going to have some quick, pacey outside backs running the ball back into traffic. The Italians have got a mobile, agile pack. They're going to want to keep the ball in play a lot. They're going to want to run it. They're going to have quick breakdowns. England can make things difficult for themselves by the tactics they employ. When Mitchell came off, the kicking just stopped. And suddenly they could build phases of momentum and get down the opposition 22 and build pressure. But for 55, 60 minutes, they were kicking all the time. And it was really painful to watch. So England need to balance, how they play, balance their attack and tactical kicking with running the ball. You have got players in the back line who want ball in hand to run with it, and they just weren't utilising some of their strengths. And when you're a team in transition, yes, okay, you want to do the basics, but kicking for kicking's sake is not going to win you a lot of test matches. And Borthwick is under pressure as a coach. The Italians, there's no pressure on them against England. They're not expected to win, which could go in their favour. So England, they need to kick less. They need to keep the ball in play as well to tire out the Italians defensively, which is what the French did in the last round. If Italy are allowed to play expansively and have quick ball, then England, it's going to be an interesting one. And England are learning a new defensive system. They look a bit passive defensively as well. And it's going to be an interesting one. I don't write Italy off. While England are favourites for this, I think there could be a bonus point in there for the Italians. There could be a shock in there. I think the 3 home teams for me are the favourites in each one. Although Ireland and France I think is too close to call. I think Wales just do not have enough against Scotland. And England, while they are the favourites at Twickenham, they really need to adjust their tactics, because last in the last round, it was actually they were getting booed, and it's very rare that you get boos at a rugby union international, unless it's the French and the home crowds turn on the French. But it's very rare you get booing of your own team, where the fans have turned on their own team, and so Borthwick's under pressure. The performance needs to be better as well. They need to be quicker at the breakdown. They need to build phases. Otherwise, they're going to make it a much harder day at Twickenham than it needs to be. But the Italians are a fun, exciting side. And they're not going to die wondering. They're going to throw it around. There's no pressure on them, and that could make them dangerous. So there we go. There's my preview of round 4 of this year's Six Nations. I do fear for Wales, though. I really do. I know that the performance in round 3 was better, but they just don't have the 80-minute fitness. They don't have the confidence, and they're on this lengthy losing streak. But what I find interesting is now Wales are the team that's struggling. Talk of a relegation from the Six Nations seems to disappear because it's not Italy. I find that very interesting. I really do. I find that interesting that when it's not Italy struggling at the bottom, talk of relegation from the Six Nations disappears. It just dies away. But when it's Italy struggling, now they got to go. Now Wales are struggling. Suddenly that disappears, and I find that a bit hypocritical, considering that they are one of the established Test nations, but they're not playing well, and the Welsh Union needs to kick up its arse basically, because they've mismanaged the game domestically in Wales for too long, and they've been allowed to get away with it for too long because they're seen as a tier 1 protected nation, which is not the case, because world rankings are going to be important, and the way they're playing right now, that's hurting their ranking, which will hurt their seeding for the next World Cup. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on potential results this weekend. Keep your eyes peeled, because I'll have some more content for you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you are interested, memberships are available. But for me for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.